Hey guys, James here, and hey, next death battle. I think I start all these exactly like this. But next time is Cell versus Metal Sonic. Uh, I got a bit of mixed feelings on this one. If you saw my reaction, you saw that I wasn't like the most positive about it, just like whatever. Like I was really whatever about it, and I still kind of am, but well, that's not really true either. For the matchup, I don't give a shit, but for the episode, I am excited for. Because this has been confirmed to be the last Devil Artemis episode. And I'm gonna go on a slight rant here right now. But basically, in 2025, last year, Devil Artemis went through like a bunch of fucking harassment from Death Battle fans over the episodes he did. That could be, it's for a lot of various reasons. People being pissy about how some episodes were animated, how some shots were. Some of them were for shots, or I think some episodes that he just didn't even do. Like apparently there's this one guy who's unnamed right now, as far as I'm aware. Well, I don't know his name, I should say that, but there was a shot Hulk vs. Godzilla that this guy bitched about. He blamed Devil Artemis. Devil Artemis didn't even do the shot. And also people bitching about the outcome of the episodes that he animated, when he has no control over that. So, and a lot of people just took this out on him. A lot of it wasn't even like criticism, it was just bitching. And before I actually start talking about the matchup, I want to use this opportunity to, and probably last time, I'll probably do it again in the review, in the reaction, but Death Battle fans have gotten really bad. I'm gonna be real. Like, since Death Battle's gone independent, it feels like something just clicked in a lot of Death Battle fans' heads where, like, now we have to be toxic assholes. And it's just, like, a lot of them, like, I'm not saying all Death Battle fans are like this, but goddamn, the majority of them are. It's really sad to see just how many I see just, fucking just will harass anyone over just differing opinion, for starters, or just over episodes. It's just like, it sucks. It really does. It feels like the concept of just respecting other people just gone out the window with a lot of them, and I generally hate that. I want to just vent about that real quick, because that's why Devil Artemis is leaving. And that sucks because, like, he's a good animator. Like, generally, I remember, like, a couple of years ago, since Ganondorf vs. Dracula, and a couple episodes, like, for the next couple of years, I think maybe until the latter half of Season 9, people praised Devil Artemis a whole lot, and rightfully so. He was a great animator. He still is a great animator. But, like, because of fucking Kratos vs. Astra, people weren't happy with that episode, they started taking out on him, follow this the next couple, and it's just, it really sucks. And from, like, what I've heard from people who's actually talked with Devil Artemis, he's a nice guy. He's generally just a really good person. And, like, I feel a lot of people do forget the fact that Jason vs. Michael, Devil Artemis animated that episode, but also, that was very last minute, because the original team that the Death Battle crew was doing with that, a live-action crew that has been unnamed, but a lot of people generally took a guess on who it is. I don't remember the name exactly, but they did the Casey Jones versus Kick-Ass live-action fight. That crew backed out of them last minute, and Devil Artemis stepped up to animate the episode all by himself under a pretty bad time crunch, too. Because, like, this was last minute. I wouldn't be surprised if it was during that episode's waiting period. And there was also a bunch of just bad shit going on in his own personal life. I think there was a family thing, as well as just, like, a natural disaster that was going on. I want to say it was like a hurricane or something. I don't remember exactly the details. But I think people forget that Devil Artemis, like, stepped up and animated that episode. Yes, the animation is flawed, but you also gotta remember, like, the fucking behind-the-scenes shit going on, so it's hard to blame Devil Artemis for how it turned out. And just, yeah, people kind of just forget that, and I hate that. I generally do hate that. The dude does a lot of great work for the show, and just entitled fans just fucking ruin it. I've been yapping for almost 5 minutes about this. I'm sorry, I want to get that out of the way, just because I've noticed the toxicity in the community growing at a rapid state since Death Battle's gone indie. So, I wanted to go over that. But, Cell vs. Metal Sonic. What are my thoughts on the matchup? I don't really care for it. I used to think it was at least a good ult for Cell. I prefer Super Scroll, but I'm okay with not getting that personally. But it was more so just, okay, this sounds pretty debatable at least. I'll give it that. It sounds like a pretty fun debate. And then it's just consensus change to just, oh, Cell now just stomps, or not Cell, Metal Sonic now stomps. And I just kind of lost interest in it. And record, I don't really care for how debatable a matchup is. I really don't. A lot of my favorite matchups are pretty cut and dry for their debate. I'm not someone that gives a shit about that. And I think the reason why that affected me more with this matchup is just because of, like, Metal Sonic people. Like, since Bowser vs. Eggman, Metal just got, like, a huge boost in people just hyping this fucker up. Hyping up this little metal rodent so much. Just saying he's, like, just hyping him up. And then this matchup got a lot of push. A big part because of that. But not because, oh yeah, we want to see these two fight, and more so, I want more Metal Sonic moments. I want more hype moments in Aura featuring the Metal Rodent. And it's just like, okay, this feels more like Metal Sonic featuring Cell. And Metal, this is his 4th episode. Like, he is the Batman. He is now Batman. Everyone bitched about Batman getting a 4th episode. I'm gonna bitch about Metal getting 4th episode. I'm counting the 2 other army fights because one he was declared the winner of, and then the other, it was mainly him out of the 2. Or at least between, like, Metal and the character in the title on his side. So it's just, I'm gonna bitch about this. And just, a lot of people just kept hyping Metal up, and it became more so just Metal Sonic featuring Cell to me. In record, I do know there's a lot of people who wanted to match up for both of them. It might just be the vocal majority, or not vocal minority of people wanting this matchup are just, yeah, give me my Metal Sonic moments. And I find it really funny how I just non-stop saw Metal Sonic hype going on. And then there was the DC Sonic crossover comic last year. And that was such a bitch. Like, I wanted to read it, but I really lost a lot of interest just because of the Versus folks. Like, saying, yeah, now Sonic scales to Flash and beats Flash, and it's just like, okay, so you're using this for Versus only and not, like, the actual story. And then people suddenly stopped using it for Versus when Batman beat the shit out of Metal Sonic. So, you could tell the priorities for some of these people. I spat all over, Jesus. But you could tell the priorities for a lot of people from that, and then I noticed the matchup got a lot less hype once Fan Battle did the matchup, and I feel so bad for the Fan Battle team, because I feel like no matter what, they are going to get a lot of shit once this episode releases. And they already had a lot of shit from the outcome of that, because, spoiler alert, and I talked about it in the thing. Cell won that episode, and people were very pissy about it, just to say the least. And, like, very vocally pissy. And then Fan Battle ended up having to do, like, a fucking Q&A for it, and I think that's the only matchup episode they've done one for, or at least it was, like, the first. I don't keep up to date with Fan Battle. I like Scarecrow, Mysterio, but besides that, Fan Battle just isn't really my cup of tea. I respect the work they're doing, though. I respect it. Like, they know they're on a budget, and I do think they make the most of it. It's just not my thing. But, I feel like they're gonna get so much garbage after this. I'm sure they're happy this matchup is becoming an actual episode, so. But, that's why I'm not uber excited for this. And if, like, taking the context of Devil Artemis out, this kind of does come across as a bit of a filler one. Because Metal Sonic had an episode, like, very recently. Bowser Eggman was, like, yes, it was in 2024, but he had an episode not even a year ago. Excluding Leonardo, he has the quickest, the smallest gap between getting another episode. And it's just like, we didn't really need that yet. We didn't need another Metal episode that soon. And then Cell, Dragon Ball character. They've done, like, 17 other Dragon Ball characters before. I'm sure they got the Dragon Ball shit just locked down. So it kind of did feel a bit like filler. Not saying it is filler, but it kind of does feel like it. I do understand, like, okay, this is a very, like, easy one to get done by a research standpoint, and I can understand that. I can understand and respect that. But I was gonna say that before finding out that yeah, Devil Artemis, this is gonna be his last episode. So I think it was more so just this is something he really wants to do, because, you know, Devil Artemis Cell. So I'm not gonna call it filler or nothing, or say that this still feels like filler, because the matchup itself, yes, it still kind of feels like filler with its placement, but I know it's not. I know this is just something Devil Artemis probably really wants to do, and it makes sense for his last episode to be a Cell episode. And I do hope that Devil Artemis does change his mind and come back later down the line. I understand if he doesn't want to, but I'm gonna hope. I'm gonna hope he returns. I've gone this long and I haven't talked about what I want to see from the fight. I talk about so much shit that's not just the matchup. But yeah, what do I want to see from the matchup? This is the first time in God knows how long where I don't actually have a thing written down of what do I want to see from the fight. I'm mainly just like winging this because I kind of just wanted to do my my prediction of this, get done with. But I imagine the setup for it. We do actually have a picture or a screenshot. Well, I don't know if it's actually a screenshot from the fight, but it looks like it's in a city where the two are fighting. But I feel like it will either be in the city with Cell coming in to challenge someone, and then Metal comes in, maybe followed by the Eggman fleet. I don't know. Or I'm gonna go with the fan battle idea, was what they did for their fight, where it was basically the Cell's arena, and then Metal Sonic comes in on the Egg fleet and challenges Cell. I feel like it might be one of those two. I don't know if this is actually a screenshot from the episode or just a little promotional image DA made for it, because when he was announced was his last one. But I assume the fight will start there. I assume it's going to start with Perfect Cell and Base Metal. Just because I don't really know exactly how the Cell forms work with transitioning from one to the other. But I think it would make sense to start with Perfect Cell. Or you have maybe Cell start as semi-perfect until absorbing someone and going into perfect, like what Frieza did at the start of Frieza Nectron. But yeah, start with that. That's like how I imagine that's how the fight starts. Just one of those two, and I feel like it's gonna have a lot of like fast-paced shit because it's a Dragon Ball and Sonic character. I would expect that type of stuff from the fight. But probably with some Cell, start with a lot of like key attacks, you know, like the Key Blast, the Special Beam Cannon, the Mouth Energy Wave, maybe Big Bang Attack, the Death Saucers, a bunch of like different key maneuvers. And then Metal Sonic, it's a lot of like fast-paced stuff, you know, a lot of energy projectiles, spin dashes, stuff like that, spin attacks. Have it be a lot like that, you know, Cell shit-talking, maybe finally get a voice actor for Metal Sonic. Fucking Cell does like the backhand of Metal as, like, Metal fucking does a spin dash attack at him. And Metal just fucking backhands him like a ping pong ball. I think that'd be really funny. Ping pong Metal into a building, and then Metal goes into the Neo Metal Sonic form. I feel like that's just going to be a very quick, like, we go base into Neo Metal, which they do that a lot with Sonic characters, where it's just, they're in base, and then soon they're right into super form. And just have, like, a lot of fast-paced action between the two, still. But you can have Metal start using his copycat abilities, you know, stuff like Bat Guard, the ESP, Chroma Camo, Knuckle Slams. And, you know, Cell, you know, still using other attacks he's copied. Like the Zatsumi Bullets, the Eye Lasers, All Clear, Solar Flare, Death Beam. Just a bunch of different key attacks he's copied from other fighters. And I like the fight to get a bit destructive, maybe. You know, a lot of, like, either destroyed buildings or destroyed area, I guess, if it's in, like, a little fighting tournament thing. Because from what I could tell, it's in the middle of fuck all nowhere with a little stadium. But yeah, I kind of want to see Cell do a little bit of dirty shit. I don't know if he fights dirty, but I would love for him just to grab Metal by the back of the head, just drag his face across the dirt. Kind of like what Yusuke did to Ichiko in the previous episode. Maybe do that and then backhand him again. Give him the second bitch slap for the road. And I feel like at some point, if the Egg Fleet is in there, Cell will just toss Metal through the Egg Fleet. Maybe do a smaller Spirit Bomb to, or maybe not Spirit Bomb, because I think you have to absorb a bunch of people's ki for that, I think. Maybe do like a quick Kamehameha to, like, try blowing Metal up in there, but Metal, goes, maybe like absorbs the fucking Egg Fleet and goes, into, was it Overlord? I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. Metal Overlord, yeah. That's what was been used before, right? Yeah, Metal Overlord. And, you know, you get a lot of, like, beam attacks. Maybe a bit of a kaiju fight, and kind of have a brief moment of working the size difference in, with the giant Metal Overlord using a bunch of beam attacks, and maybe earlier he copied some of Cell's techniques with the copycat ability, and does his own replica ki attacks against Cell. And Cell, you know, is maneuvering all through, trying to counter it, and, like, weaving through attacks until, like, getting up close, trying to use a bunch of martial arts on him. But with it not working, I don't know exactly how he goes into super perfect Cell. I assume, doing the normal Super Saiyan bullshit, because probably copied it from a couple of Saiyan DNA. He goes into that and starts to kind of get the big get the lead over on Overlord until almost basically dismantling Overlord until, you know, Metal uses the Chaos Emeralds to go into Super Neo Metal like he did in Baozeg. Or they might just skip Overlord, which I don't blame them if they do. I don't know if Metal can go Overlord to Neo. I imagine that's probably not a thing that's happened in the series, because from what I could tell, Neo Metal Sonic, that's Super Neo, it's just an IDW thing. So, I probably haven't had an opportunity to do that, but still, I think it'd be cool. Or going to, like, Master Overlord to kind of differentiate from, Baozeg. Maybe Master Overlord would be better. But either one, maybe take the fight more so to space, you know, have one of them, like, smash the other into the moon. And, like, an impact that shatters most of the moon from the collision. I think that'd be neat. Maybe a bit of a callback to, the fan battle. I think it'd be cool if we do get a fan battle reference. Kind of pay a bit of homage. I think that'd be cool. But, do that shit, and then, like, at some point, maybe see, Metal have, like, fully successfully copy, Cell's techniques. You can maybe also have a scene, this probably could be earlier in the fight, where Cell creates the, what the hell they called? The Cell Juniors, to, like, fucking gang up on Metal, and maybe also have Cell do the multi-form technique. To, you know, have a bit of fight there, bit of shenanigans. Metal has to, like, go up against all these different different characters. I don't know if they can get models for the baby Cell, the Cell Juniors, but it would be cool. Admittedly, that'd be very cool. But yeah, dude, I don't know if they even, is there models for the Cell Juniors? I don't know that actually, but if possible, that would be cool to see. But back to the main part, because I feel like the Junior stuff would be earlier on. But, like, Metal successfully copies all of Cell's abilities, was copycat, or at least all the biological ones. And, fucking, I'm tired. But, this is why I don't just, do this normally, because I'm always just tired. But, there's a bunch of key attacks. It kind of turns a bit into a Dragon Ball fight. You have Cell needing to do, like, fucking Perfect Barrier, the Tri-Beams and shit. Oh, Tri-Beams is Junior. The Perfect Barrier, the Telekinesis. Maybe have Cell actually do create a Spirit Bomb and throw it into Metal. And maybe that could be the transition into Neo, Super Neo. I don't know. Or Metal Overlord, Master Overlord. What the fuck ever it's called? But, shit like that. And, coming to, like, the final clash. If Cell wins, you can have him successfully overwhelm Metal. Maybe he could use the Spirit Key Bomb to fucking successfully overwhelm him, get up close, and be able to possibly split Metal in half before absorbing Metal and fully consuming him. Or if Metal wins, which, I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself as a verdict. But if Metal wins, they do like a key beam struggle that originally overwhelms Cell. Cell just barely survives, and he activates his self-destruct. And then you can have Metal either use his protection thing to, like, or was it? It's just called Barrier. Black Shield. I think it might just be Black Shield, but do Black Shield to try to protect himself from it. And like the explosion goes off, Metal is knocked back onto the earth, heavily damaged, but does survive in the end. And has fully copied Cell's abilities, maybe using Cell's regeneration to fully recover him. And now we see a new, more terrifying Metal Sonic. I don't know, I'm all over the place to see it right now. But with that, was how I can imagine the fight going. Let's talk verdicts. Oh boy! So this is the tricky part because I don't exactly know where these two are scaling. I know Cell doesn't get the shockwaves shit, I know that, because that's way past his time. And I know Metal has the super forms, but I don't know if he fully scales to the stuff the Super Hedgehogs do. Because I hear a lot of arguments for it, I hear a lot of arguments against it. I know Metal does get jobbed a lot. Speaking of, I would love if they work in the Batman bit during the fight at some point. Not the fight, but the rundown. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Morrow who made, like, an animation that's a reference to that Asgore meme of driving in my truck. But it's Batman on the Bat Cycle running over Metal. I hope they work that into the episode somehow. Be like a rundown or something. I don't know. I just want to see that. But, debate. I don't know exactly if Metal super forms really scale to supersonic. Because I take a lot of what Sonic debaters say with salt, because they're Sonic debaters. They're not the most not the most friendly people, or accepting of their characters taking an L. Same with Dragon Ball characters. It's two extremes, one from another. So, but I did write down these stats that were given in the previous two Dragon Ball episodes, as well as Bowser vs. Eggman, as these are both very recent. So it's fair enough to draw from them. Excuse me, fuck. As well as just some other calcs I've been seeing thrown around for either. I didn't write down any for Metal, just because all the ones I were seeing for Metal Sonic were just not as good as the ones Death Bell gave. Maybe a couple things for Immeasurable, but they were for, like, the super forms, or with, like, specific amps that are non-standard with other characters. So I kind of just leaned to just not believing them for at least Metal here. But if my thing wants to load. So first, Death Battle stats with what they've given previous Dragon Ball characters. Looking at some stuff from Omni-Man vs. Bardock for Bardock. Goku dodged asteroids that got like 9.5 trillion C. And with the Super Saiyan multiplier, it was 475 trillion C. So that's not bad. And I looked this up I looked up the Frieza episode, or I looked up Boo, Frieza, and Bardock, all previous Death Battle combatants. Oh, there's another one too. Oh, Cell. I looked up Cell too, but whatever. And all of them but Boo seem to be before Cell, so Boo might be the only one that don't scale. I'm saying that now because of the Goku's Ki moved across the universe in under a minute. And this was in relation to like a Kid Buu thing. This got 17.9 Quad C. This was in Frieza vs. Megatron. But it was to, I think, defeat Kid Buu or whatever, and Kid Buu was introduced after Cell, so I don't know if Cell would scale. So I think it was like a solid 3 years after the fact, so I don't know if he scales or not. But I wanted to say that anyways. And you might notice I didn't cover any AP feats. We'll get to that real soon. But for Sonic with scaling, the Chaos Emeralds could break the universe. This mentioned Bowser Eggman. All these are Bowser Eggman. Scaling to Solaris, it would consume all existing timelines, which is 326 on the calculable ends, infinite on non-calculable. I lean more towards the calculable end personally, but whatever. As a Sonic fan got pissy, I didn't mention that in Bowsegg, so that one's for you. I'm mentioning the infinite debate possibility, but I think the calculable one is probably safe to go with. And that was that. I wrote down the Solaris thing twice. And going off, I feel like they're more likely going to go with Uni and the 26C for Metal, because again, I don't think I kind of have my suspicion of Super Neo Metal or whatever scaling to fully scaling at least to the Super stuff. But other calcs I found for them for Cell. Stated he could destroy solar system. There was actually, like, this is stated numerous times between like the official manga and like guidebooks, but there's also a DS game that was showing it, and they got like 1.05 kilofo. So solar system, that's above where like the other stuff that's not shockwaves / super shit I was seeing for the previous two Dragon Ball characters in Death Battle was Frieza and Bardock. So they're probably going to go solar system, assuming they don't use Toei. Because Toei Cell, with multipliers, gets solo multi. And this is through cosmology that I didn't really give enough of a shit to go through. But I think if they don't fully scale Metal to the other super forms, and they do use Toei, Cell should take strength, but I'll cover that more in a minute. But because specifically Toei, his ability is debatable, and characters like Goku and Cell himself traveled through the infinite size overworld, infinite, but also Toei only. So, yeah, that's kind of all I got to mention when it comes to stats. Personally, I don't really know if they're going to use Toei, because Toei seems to be non-canon from what I'm understanding, but they've gone and used other similar stuff before, so it's kind of a debate on, do they actually use Toei? I think they use Toei. Cell should win, because, again, scaling is kind of questionable in my eyes, but given they do, I do think Cell would win there. But at the same time, I feel like that'd be like using a high end for one and not the other. So I'm kind of having a bit of doubts if they will. Personally, from where I'm standing right now, I think it would be better to just go with the manga stuff, not Toei stuff. Maybe mention the Toei stuff, but, you know, counters against it, be it black box or just mentioning it verbally. So I feel like they'll probably go solar system for Cell when it comes to AP, and for speed, either the trillion C calc or the quad C calc, the 17 quad C. But I'm kind of leaning that Metal's probably just going to take stats here. I think Universal is probably where they're going to put Metal via the Chaos Emeralds and doing that with Super Neo. Because again, from what I could tell, Metal kind of gets jobbed a lot. So I think him scaling to the full stuff, and especially like stuff like Solaris, I'm kind of questioning there. I don't think he's going to scale to the full cosmology. At best, downscale, but I think Universal is a fine enough thing. And then probably downscaling at the very least from the 73C. Very similarly. And I was seeing like other stuff. Why not? I'm just realizing this. I should have written down some of the other stuff for Metal besides the 73 quad. Because I was seeing other stuff like not get in the quad C, but get in trillions. I think worst case scenario, Cell might take speed, but the strength gap seems a bit too big in Metal's favor. But let's talk about hexes, because unlike last time, it's not just stat shit. Let's go into their hacks. Both of them can like copy copy shit, but from what I could tell, Cell, it's more so copying techniques. And I think he might have to absorb his opponent to fully copy their abilities, get their DNA. But Metal can just outright copy any biological techniques. So he could copy all of Cell's techniques. So I think that's a bit of an issue for Cell there. To where, assuming they both can just copy what the others have, from the sounds of things, Metal's is just a better, in general, copy ability. Cell can also definitely, get the number advantage with the Cell Juniors. But also, I forgot to mention it during Chaos Control, Time Stop. I would love to see a bit with Time Stop stuff. Metal using Chaos Control and getting, a sneak attack behind Cell and just, fucking kicking him or something. I think that'd be cool. And maybe if Cell does take the speed advantage, you can have Metal try doing it again, but Cell is faster and is able to expect it this time. I think that'd be cool. Anyways. I think the time stop definitely will be useful here, regardless on the speed or not. Probably not like a fucking smoking gun clearing the victor here, but useful. I think the copy ability is already that big ace in the hole type thing for Metal. So, that's basically what I wrote down, because from what I could tell, Metal should probably take stats, or at the bare minimum, a big gap in AP, because I think if you're gonna use Toei for Cell, you'd probably also have to use higher end scaling for Metal, and I'm not vibing with the higher end scaling for Metal for past Universal and scaling to full cosmology shit. So yeah, probably just. I feel like Metal's probably gonna just win this. I think it definitely takes AP by a very large margin. And just having the general better copy ability, I don't think Cell really has anything that's gonna do a good enough dent in Metal before, being able to kill him before Cell gets killed himself. Which, sad, but oh well. So my bet is on Metal, but I will be rooting for Cell. I think it was the first time I've rooted for a Dragon Ball character since Beerus, surprisingly. Not saying I hate Dragon Ball or nothing, but, they're up against characters I tend to dislike more. But, yeah, I'm rooting for, Cell here. I just like him more. I don't give a shit about Metal Sonic. And I'm gonna be pissed he's getting another episode after barely over a year. Yeah, I'm gonna be that fucker. But I am rooting for Cell here. I generally just like him more. But my bet will be on Metal. I'm curious to hear what the track is. Because usually... my mic fell. Because usually the tracks for the Metal, or the Sonic and the Dragon Ball episodes usually go really hard. So I'm very excited to hear the track. And I am excited to see the fight. For as little shit as I give for this matchup, I am excited to see what's being made here. I feel like this is gonna be one of those times where it's a matchup I cannot give two shits about, but I'm gonna fucking love the episode, like a Dante Clive type thing, you know? But, that's generally what I got. Also, these are just two series I'm tired of. And I think that's also part of it. Maybe, if this happened in a year from now, and we didn't have a Dragon Ball and Sonic episode, I'd be a bit more excited. But I understand why they're doing it now. And ideally, I would like for Devil Artemis to animate a Cell episode. I'm also surprised it took this long to get Cell. I guess Cell is definitely a Dragon Ball character I can be less bitchy about getting on, because he's at least offering a lot of new shit. Because it's at least different scaling, and it's not going to be all key attacks at least, or just mentioning key shit. Like, he has the key attacks, yeah, but also, he has the Cell Juniors stuff. So, I guess I'll take that. But, yeah, not looking forward to the matchup. I feel like this waiting period is going to be kind of sucky, but I am looking forward to see what the team cooks with this. I don't know what the hell's going to be next. One of the Kickstarter, last two of the Kickstarter matchups for Lizanne. I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten Gru vs. Megamind. I think the rest of it's going to be about Cell vs. Metal Sonic, but I'm surprised we haven't gotten Gru vs. Megamind yet. I feel like out of all the Kickstarter ones, that was like either the easiest or second easiest one to research, because like they have so little content. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually the last one, because it's like the last of the Kickstarter matchups, so whatever. There's gonna be a new Minions movie. Minions and Monsters, where they brought Cthulhu. Cthulhu's a little fuck. And now the Minions are spawning monsters, so Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell's going on? They're just doing anything with these guys now. But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten Rimmer yet. And yeah, and surprisingly, I was saying, like, when people were saying, like, what might be after Ego DJ, I was thinking probably either the last of Artemis episode or a Moral episode, as we haven't really had a Moral episode in this yet.